Live, mate.
Live. Good evening, Steve. Good evening, all.
Yeah. Good evening, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, I'm really good. I'm really good. What about you?
Good. Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. Very busy week in work this week, but well, it's like that every week, to be fair. So yeah, it's good to be a Friday. Unfortunately, I'm back in on tomorrow on a semi-late, which is not the best thing, but I'm off Sunday, so bit of family time on Sunday, I think, and yeah, but it is what it is. We've got to work.
That's
Yeah,
absolutely got to pay for the hobby, ain't you?
That's it. Well, that's it, mate. Yeah, exactly. But first things first, as always, which is customary. Welcome to everybody who's joining us on the Friday night. Really appreciate it, as always. And the usual crew I can see that's in the house, but we'll go ahead and we'll see who's in. And first thing first, Stuart's in. Evening, Stuart. Hope you're well.
Did you see, Steve? Did you see he's watching from Spain?
Oh, I didn't see that. Flipping it. What are you watching from Spain for on your holiday, mate? He's a diehard fan, isn't he, mate? What is all this about? Hey, absolutely appreciate that. He's probably on his balcony, chilling or whatever before he goes out. So that'll be me, mate. Definitely. Oh, hey, I appreciate you watching it from Spain and enjoy your holiday, Stuart. Cottage Reef. Evening, Carter. Hope you're well.
Evening.
John, as always. Evening, John.
Hi, John.
Skids.
He's in the house.
The big man, Scott Parker. Evening, Scott. Hope you're well, my friend. He said he's just popping in. Won't be around long. Hope it's a good stream. We'll catch up tomorrow. Appreciate it, mate. Tekker's Reef. Evening, Tekker. Howard, as always. Reef 216 is in the house. Dripper, as always, our good friend Dripper. Saying happy Friday, Reefing Nerds. Hope everyone's up for a large weekend starting tonight. If anyone says otherwise, appreciate you, mate. Haley Bart, evening, Haley.
Hiya.
Good evening, everyone. Feels like you guys have been gone forever. It's only actually been a week, but 2 weeks, isn't it? 1 week we missed. 1 week we missed, but yeah, I appreciate the love, mate. Riggsy, evening, Riggsy. Let's have a look. Marek, evening, Marek. Sky Marine, evening. UKM 120. Tom Brook is in the house. Evening, Tom. Hope you're well. Melegic. How do you pronounce that? Pelagic swimmer. Even a pelagic swimmer. Hope you're well. Mickey boy Mick. Evening, Mickey. Tony. NG Reefer. And finally, Chris is in the house. Evening, Chris. Miss you all. Yeah, I think he was away. Was Chris away? I think he'd been away, hasn't he? Chris.
So, yeah.
Sure he's been away. Yeah. Evening, Chris. Hope you're well. And yeah, thanks once again. Thanks for everyone joining us. So, how's things been with you, Paul? We'll get on to the good and the bad, I suppose. Yeah. I've had a few issues with my tank, to be fair.
Oh, have you? Do you want to cover yours off first, and I'll come on to mine.
Oh, yeah, I mean, to be fair, like, I kept on having a fluctuation, in the temperature of the tank, yeah? And it notified me on me Apex that I was having a problem with the temperature now. So when I came home from work, I was like, the good thing with the Apex, like I said before, is I can switch it off, and stuff like that, yeah? But it was only the temperature, because my D&D is plugged into my Apex, so it's like a dual thing where I can shut it off, do you know what I mean? Manually, so it's like a fail-safe in a one sense. But it kept on saying like it was overheating and it was raising up, and then all of a sudden it was like coming back down. So I was like, right, so it's not right here. Maybe the element's on its way out of this. Now, as you all know, you all take the mick out of me. I have loads of heaters going. So I went out and I bought another heater because I had to, and I thought, I'm not risking it. It's just one of those things. So I bought another titanium D&D heater, which, like I said, I think are fantastic anyway, especially on a D&D controller. And to this day, this was about a week. Yeah, this was a little over a week ago. And it's steady now. Everything's fine. But I really don't have a clue what has gone on with that, with the heater, because I've got a separate D&D controller, and I thought, I'll plug it in this to see if it's the D&D controller itself. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Now I plugged it in that D&D controller, and that's working perfect. Along with it, I've just put it in normal water, just normal bucket of water, yeah. And I put it in, and it's in my fish room in the back, yeah. And it's working perfect, no fluctuations whatsoever. So now I'm really on edge whether it's this D&D controller in my cabinet. You know what I mean? That's the problem, and it's not the actual heater. You know what I mean? So that was one issue, and then the fish was stressed out. I could see they were stressed. And I thought, well, there was definitely some spots on my on both my clownfish, and I was like, what the heck, like I could see they were stressed. So obviously I was like a bit worried. I thought, Christ, I don't want to lose these fish. Do you know what I mean? And then the following day after the thought of that, I came down, and unfortunately my lionfish was stuck to the power head, dead, brown bread. So I don't know whether the temperature, because it went up to about 27 degrees, and then it dropped, and then it went back up, and it went to about 27.6 then. And I was like, holy, right, what the hell's going on here with this? And that was the reason why I changed my heater. Well, like I said, I've got it plugged in a bucket in my spare D&D controller. So now I'm thinking, do I need to take out that D&D controller, which means I'm going to have to dismantle all of this.
All that wiring you've done.
Management, all this to get to the back of it, to change it out, and it'd be a nightmare. But I don't know whether the temperature spike for that little time stressed the little lionfish, and he died. I really don't have a clue. So the lionfish is no more. I really don't have a clue.
If the temperature goes up because of the weather, it goes up gradually. Because I've had 27 and a half, not a problem. But if the temperature went up pretty quick, and then
pretty quick,
I mean, it would come down. It would come down gradually anyway, because when it's up, but of course, if the heater's on continuously, it could go up quite quickly.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
You'll never know, but it could be the fact that the heat went up really quick, and then that's stressed it out. It could be that.
I think it could be, to be honest, because like I said, I think looking at it, when I looked on the graph of the apex, it was literally like that, sharp, within maybe half an hour or something, an hour. It was like that. It was literally vertical. Yeah. So it's definitely short, like really, really quick. But then obviously my apex sent me an alarm saying that, what, the temperature is risen. And thankfully I was on my way home anyway. But I'm thinking just that little time, maybe that might stress it out, the poor little geezer, because like I said, the following day, he was gone. He was dead. He was stuck to the power head. So I don't know whether that really stressed him out or not, to be fair. But like now I'm in two minds as to whether to take that DD controller out now and put that spare one, because the spare one I had was a newer model, was not the newer model, was a newer purchase. That was the newer one, you see. Yeah. This one was the older one that I've had. So I might be doing that this weekend. Well, Sunday I might actually change that. But I've been putting it off, because since I've got this new heater, it's been flawless, mate. It's literally kept it at 25.6. No fluctuation whatsoever. It's been absolutely rock steady. So I'm really stuck to thinking what the hell it could be. Yeah, so it's weird, mate.
So is your heater on the apex temp? Have you got an apex temperature controller, or you got a DD, and then you've got?
I've got two. I've got them both. I've got the apex temperature controller.
It's not the apex that's probe that's wrong. So it's not the apex. It's the DD one.
No, the DD one. I think. Yeah. Because the D&D one, when I looked on the actual screen of the D&D controller, that said 27. That said 27.4 or something like that, and I was like, what the hell? Remember, I've done mine at 25.8ish, 25.6 to 25.8. So that's like a two degree increase. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then when I went on my apex basically then said identical to what it was, and that was the reason, why it sent me the notification saying, listen, your temperature's gone through the roof here, sort of thing. And then, but like I said, I was on my way home anyway from work, which was I'm thankful about, and that it wasn't, in the morning when say I've just gone to work. But I was like, what in hell? Anyway, when I got in, I mean, the other fish were okay, don't get me wrong. They wasn't stressing as much. But then the following day, I seen the clownfish had a few spots on them. And I was like, whoa, like get the garlic in, feed them well. Yeah, they were definitely stressed, mate. Definitely stressed. But they wasn't stressed that day. You know what I mean? It was like the day after. And then it wasn't sorry, I'll rephrase it. It wasn't that day that the lionfish died. It was the day after that. Because I was stressed out to death thinking, are the clownfish going to die or here? What's happening here? You know what I mean? Yeah. And then it was the following day. I came down in the morning, ready to go to work, and the clownfish and the lionfish was stuck to the power head. So I was like, what? So I think it was stressed out. I think it was like, you know, that sudden increase in heat. Maybe I really don't have a clue because I looked at it and there was no signs of like illness. There was no white spots or there was, you know, its eyes were clear and everything. There was nothing like it didn't seem like it was stressed in any way. But you know, like it died from an illness or anything. I think it was just stressed out, mate, because of the heat. To be honest, but it was strange because, like I said, I plugged it in there now and it's still going. I've still got it plugged in that spare heater. I cleaned it, the one that was in here. Put it on the D&D controller and it's rock steady, mate. It's not even fluctuated.
So it could be that the D&D controller, for whatever reason, didn't switch off. So it's got an intermittent issue. You don't know.
Yeah,
I've got to say,
it must have, mate.
If it was on that,
it's like
27 degrees and it shouldn't go 27 degrees because it's there to cut in and out.
Exactly.
And what did the temperatures say on the DD LED screen? Did that say 27 degrees at the time or not?
But yeah, it said 27.4. Yeah,
switch it off.
Yeah,
so that can't be the heater then because it's controlled by the DD controller.
Exactly. So, but now this is when I'm confused at, yeah, because now I've got the new one plugged into it. Yeah, it's not gone that high. So this is what's confusing the life out of me.
Put the newer one in the tank and then test the other one that might be a bit wobbly in the bucket or whatever you got. And if it's intermittent,
and see
potentially, I mean, it could be a one-off, but you don't really want to take a risk.
Oh, mate, exactly. I imagine it kept on going up and up and up, but God forbid, you know what I mean? It could have completely wiped my tank out, mate. So this is why I'm thinking, you know what? It's just like I haven't had the time, to be fair, like because I've been working like a lot of semi-lates and stuff. So by the time I've got home, it would mean me literally stripping that cabinet out. You know what I mean? Stripping out, pulling all of that, the wiring that I've done to get to the box, to get to the plug and unbox it. So the only day I've got really is Sunday that I'm going to have to really, really get onto it. And I might just change it over just to be on the safe side. You know what? It's for the 40 quid, 50 quid. It's just not worth the hassle, mate, of like risking it. You know what I mean? It's not worth it. So yeah, that was my biggest gutting thing, really, was like I said. And now I've not got many fish. I say this all the time, that I've not got many fish, but I certainly haven't got many fish. One good thing is, though, like the nitrates and phosphates are absolutely rock steady, mate. They don't even move. They're like, boom, bang on, and they never fluctuate. So that's a good sign. But my miss was saying that, she was lying on the couch and she was like, Steve, can I ask you something? I was like, yeah. She went, don't your tank just look as if there's no fish in it? And I went, oh, thanks for cheering me up, love. Yeah, it does. And I went over it, and you couldn't see any fish. There was just like, they were all hiding in their own little spots, you know what I mean? And I was like,
you need to get some, we said before, you need to get some open water fish that just like,
you know what? I really did like the chromas, you know, to be fair. I really did like them, you know, and I was contemplating of getting like 6, 7, 8 chromas, you know, like smaller ones, shoving them in, you know, putting them in it. And then, like I said, I've got a tang on order. I've got one of those Tomini tangs on order. In fact, Becky contacted me before and seeing what do you call it, whether I wanted one because she's got a decent size one in there. So I think I might. I'm working. Well, I say I'm working away. I'm going away on a course for work for this week. So yeah, I might. I don't know if I can get in there on Sunday before I go. I might be able to. And then if I do, then I'll get that. But the only thing with getting a new fish when you're not there, it's like, it's just, you know, I don't want to put too much pressure on my missus, do you know what I mean? So that's the only issue.
Can they look after it? Can you pay for it and then look after it for a week for you? Then go and pick it up
she could do. I suppose she could. Yeah, I suppose she could, to be fair. I did ask her, but like I said, it's a shop, innit? And it's like, and for me, it's like, you know, if somebody else comes in and wants it, then who am I to say, listen, you know what, don't sell it because I'm going to be coming in. Do you know what I mean? And so I feel a bit
unless you
thingy
can pay
there.
for
But
it,
you know,
over the phone or something like that. I don't know. They might
yeah,
do. They might do. They might not
yeah,
want the
they could
hassle of
do.
another fish in their tank. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah, yeah, they could do. So hopefully, I'll be able to get there Sunday. So if I can, then I'll go and pick it up. But yeah, I mean, hopefully they've got some chromas and stuff. If they've got a few chromas, I might get them at the same time and bang them all in, together. Because the fish then won't pick on them. You know what I mean? If there's a few
Yeah,
fish in, the fish
they'll
don't
go
know
in at the
which one
same
to pick on,
time.
do they?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Shove them all in at the same time, and I think that's the best course of action for my tank, to be fair. But we'll see, mate. We'll see. But yeah, other than that, that's what else? Is there anything else? Oh, sorry. And I tell another thing what's gone on. My actual motor on my Clarity. My actual motor failed on my Clarity.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's failed. So now I've stripped it. I pulled it. I contacted them. So asked, like, said, what could it be? And basically,
Yeah.
what was happening was the red and blue light was flashing intimately, yeah, for five times with a beep, yeah. So when I checked up on it, it said on
It's
the
not going
forum,
round.
on the yeah, it said that it was potential water damage, like the water got into cables or something, which I
Yeah.
find strange, you know what I mean? Yeah. But anyway, I was like, right, so I took it apart, seeing if there was like any of the cables had been disconnected.
Yeah.
But there wasn't. Everything was fine. You know what I mean? Anyway, I spoke to the guy from D&D, not Tony, the other lad, Rob,
Yeah.
and he said sounds to me as if like the motor's failed on it. Do you know what I mean? So you'd have to buy the whole motor, rather than fix. So that anyway, I spoke to him, and he's like, yeah, I can buy him direct from him. So I'm gonna have to buy one from him. So I think they're about £50 odd, 56 quid, I think, 57 quid for a new motor. But I mean, fair play. It's been there for 4 years. You know what I mean? I
It's
suppose,
quite a
but
long time
you
in and
know,
amongst all the humidity and the wires, and I don't say
it's out there.
continuously. It's not continuous, is it? But it's still
No,
in the sump and everything else. So it's not particularly in good conditions, is it?
no. I suppose, but
So did you
yeah, I
because
was a
you can
bit
press
gutted,
the
to be
button, can't
fair.
you? Because you can manually run the reel on.
Yeah.
So when you press that, nothing's happening, I'm assuming.
No.
Yeah.
Basically, if you keep the black wire plugged in, yeah,
Yeah.
that is the power. So basically, when you press the motor, the red
Yeah.
light doesn't come on, yeah. But when you put the red cable in along with the black cable, yeah, once you go to press the reel to roll it on, yeah, both lights come on, flashing, and the sound comes on for 5 seconds, which means that there's either there's there was a couple of things that it could be, but the main one was that the water had got into the cables, or the cable had been disconnected or something. Yeah. So, but anyway, I was like, oh freaking hell, don't need this. So that now I've stripped down. And now at this moment in time, all I'm doing is I'm rolling it up now with my hand until I get the new one. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
that's a
it's a bit
pain,
of a
isn't it?
pain. It's a pain, but it is what it is. It's doing its thing, but I'm having to roll it, and then when it gets a little bit too thick, I cut it off with a pair of scissors and just keep doing that for the time being. But it's working. It's anything's better than the filter socks anyway, in my eyes. So
Well,
you
you'd
know
have
what I
to
mean?
mess
It's
about to put filter socks back in because you took them out, didn't you?
yeah. Well, you couldn't anyway because I cut
No.
away the thingy, haven't I?
Yeah.
The actual where the filter socks fitted in. So yeah, you cut away that apart. But yeah, that I've had a few issues this past week and a half, sort of thing. So, but fingers crossed. I mean, the rest of the tank, corals wise, and that clam has just got more and more growth. Like there's no tomorrow.
Is
You
it?
know what I mean? All new white edges. It's gone massive, mate,
Really?
since I moved it to the
Wow.
front. Yeah, in fact, it's coming to the point where I'm like, where the hell? I'm having to shift things and stuff like that. Oh, and one more thing finally, before I stop rabbiting on you. One more thing.
Yeah,
My holy grail, yeah. Those troker snails, I love them for what they do, but they're absolutely bulldozers, aren't they? They're just like big bulldozers, aren't they? Like rummaging around, yeah. I came down from upstairs. I don't know how long it had happened, yeah, but I came down downstairs. And I just, when you're walking past into the kitchen, I looked into the tank, and my Holy Grail had been tipped upside down, so it fell over, yeah. And then what was underneath it? Any of yous, the people who watch my videos, you'll know what was underneath it. My scholar was underneath
no.
it. Yeah. So,
Is it Scotty
needless
all
to
right?
say, I looked and it was stung to death, mate. They were all stung, and I pulled it line. I went, "This is a goner. This is an absolute goner." This, yeah. It was like stringer and everything. Oh, I was like, I was absolutely gutted, mate. Yeah.
That's the war paint
So
one, isn't it? The
yeah,
war
the
paint.
war paint. So
Lovely.
I pulled it out. I looked at it and I was like, yeah, this is not going to survive this. Anyway, for 2 days, mate, it was salted, it curled up, and it was like it. Thought, yeah, this is. I was so contemplating taking it out and dipping it or something. Yeah, I was like, just leave nature, just let it do its thing. You know what I mean, and see what happens. You know what I mean. I was absolutely gutted, mate. I felt physically sick. Yeah. Anyway, after 2 days, 2 or 3 days, yeah, it started to come up, but it wasn't puffy or anything. It was just like, yeah,
It's
no, I'm not.
recovering a little
Still,
bit. Yeah.
still yeah,
Sulking.
I've still got to recover. I'm still got to recover, sort of thing. Yeah. And I was like, this is just not going to work. This is just not, it's not going to look the same. You know what I mean? It took 1 week, mate, 1 whole week for it to finally come out and be puffed up. And you know what? It's somehow survived. I just don't have a. So I've moved it back now to where its old spot used to be. I've moved it right under the ledge, mate. It's not getting stung. I'm keeping it there forever. I'm not going to move it anywhere near that, mate. But yeah, I mean, it's strange, isn't it? Like nothing happens in your tank, and then all of a sudden, things just seem to keep coming on.
Yeah.
You know, like little things, and it just seems to mount up all the time. But yeah, other than that, mate.
Not a lot.
I've been rabbiting on for about 11 minutes. Not much has been happening in my tank, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's been a freaking nightmare. But never mind. So anyway, what about you, Paul?
So I used I said I was going to use the Flux RX because I had the algae problem, and it just like
that's right, yeah,
and everything else. And I tried water changes, clean up crew, blah blah blah. So I used it, and I would say it's cleared about 80% of the algae. So I think it's worked. It was really bad. Coral sulked a little bit, but that was okay. I've lost one NEM, a really small one, but I don't know if that's down to that or not. The others were sulked, but since then I've done 2 or 3 water changes over the last 7-10 days, and it's looking okay. The bubble algae, I've been using a toothbrush and just gently knocking them off. I've got a crab in there, so that's beginning to go. So that tank there is on the mend. The corals look fine and everything seems okay. The only thing which I kind of knew what happened is the nitrates and the phos have gone through the roof. So when I mean gone through the roof, it's compared to how it was before. So the nitrates were 5 and are now 40, and the phosphate was 0.045 is now 0.14. So it's not, not a disaster or anything else, but it's gone up quite a bit. So now I'm just doing kind of smaller water changes. So 2 or 3 water changes a week, 10 litres at a time. The only thing I think I might do is, if I can't get it down, is, I've talked about the NIOS Phos Plus to put phosphate in.
Yeah.
I might get a NIOS reducer, which is a nitrate and a phosphate, obviously different bottles, and use that. Yeah. Because the only reason why I'm doing bigger water changes is to bring the nitrate and the phosphate down, and you never know really how much you're bringing it down by. So I might get both of those, because I can then bring it down. So like, I want to reduce it 5 a week. I can just dose whatever it is and it'll come down by 5. So I can control it coming down. I mean, I only want to bring it down to probably about 15, because the nitrate was about 15 before. So it just shows you, which we said before, the algae, how much that was consuming in terms of the nitrate. Yeah. And I kind of knew it as soon as the algae would go, that you'd have a lot of surplus nitrate and phosphate in there. So I just need to bring that down a little bit. So everything seems to be happy with it. I've got a little bit of cyano, which I'm not surprised, because when algae goes, then there's a competition on what's going to win, and cyano wins. But I've started dosing the Eco Balance, which I think I said last time, and also I'm just putting phyto. I'm putting phyto in every other day just to try and get some more life into the tank. It's 12 months now, so it should be okay, but I think it's a little bit behind where it should be. So that tank is, that's fine. So that's it. I mean, the other 2 tanks are fine. I mean, I've got to say, I've been using the 170. Coloration is brilliant. I use the same stuff as you, the Coral Essentials CE. Could be a coincidence. I'm using that. A little bit of phyto. and dosing the Alpha Reef. That's all I do. Water change every couple of weeks, and the colours and the growth has gone through the roof. It's, in fact, I'm having to snap off pieces of Hystrix and bin them because it's too much. I might actually take, long term, I might take the Hystrix out because it's just a bit of a pain. I mean, they're lovely corals, don't get me wrong, but it's only a small tank. I don't know if Howard's still here, because I saw a post from Howard the other day that he was looking for some easy to use, easy to keep, should say SPS. So Howard, if you're still knocking around, let us know. I'll frag you some Hystrix if you want, and we'll sort something out. Or if anyone wants some Hystrix, just let me know. I've got green Hystrix, it's a lime green, and also I got the pink as well.
Like I said, it's a lovely coral list. It's so underrated, but it grows like crazy. Once it settles in your tank, it grows. It just grows like crazy, doesn't it? You know what I mean? Like you said, they are good if you've got a really big, large tank and you want one section cut. It does look fantastic. You know what I mean? To be fair, a big ball.
It's going to take up. You got a tank of 12 months. You ain't got loads of coral and loads of SPS. It's a good piece of that in. It'll grow really quick, and all of a sudden it fills up your tank until you're ready to until you get rid of it. So I mean, they're lovely pieces, both of them are. I've already given some pieces away. I chopped up a couple of pieces, gave them away locally, and that was about 3 weeks ago. And in 3 weeks, it's grown back to the size it was before. It's like,
it does.
It's nuts.
You know what? That's exactly like that freaking nemesis of mine, that Hollywood stunner, mate. Snap it off, and it just grows. In fact, what I'm having to do is, I think I mentioned it, is I've got that putter, which I never usually use in my tank, and I'm literally rolling it up into big mounds of it, and I'm sticking it on the places where I don't want it to actually grow. So I'm actually smothering it, so it's actually curling on itself now. When it's growing, it's actually growing up the putter, and it's trying to curve over now. So when it does start to curve, I just snap those pieces off and I bin them, mate, because it's just, that is the, I say it time and time again, that's the worst mistake I've ever done in my tank. When we say, what's your worst mistake you've ever done? That is mine, is putting that in my tank. I should never have put it in. It looks great, don't get me wrong, but it's like an invasive species, mate. It's just forever grows, and it's just horrible to get rid of. I can't even get rid of it. I tried to break big lumps off it for a guy who came round. He said, "Oh, I'll have some." I said, "No problem, mate. Come and collect some. Not a problem." Came round to the house. I'm like, I tried to break it, and the actual rock structure was moving. It's actually wedged. It said that. I was like, "What in the hell?" Freaking hell, to get both my hands in, mate, and try to snap it. It was just like, it's just crazy. It's just a lovely piece. I'm not going to say horrible, because it's nice, but it's just so invasive, mate. It's just crazy.
Could you, if you was to get rid of it, could break some pieces off of it? Could you get a piece of plating rock and get it and sit it on it so none of it is showing, and that would kill it because it's not getting any light?
I think it might be too heavy. It could be too heavy. That if you got plating rock. I know what you're saying, because remember, it's fused on one side of the rock, hasn't it? And it's actually it's fused on the glass. It's fused on the black
it's wall. On the glass, the only way you could do that is put a bit of rock on, and you'd almost have to put something over that, because you'd have to basically, the only way you can kill it is take away its light. So I'm not sure it would survive with zero light. I could be wrong, but I don't think it would.
You could be right. You could be right, to be fair.
Or, I know it look a bit ugly.
Sure.
Get a piece of acrylic made, or plastic, a bit of acrylic, because it'd be nice and light, or something like that, and lay that on it. It's going to look horrible, but then if you want to get rid of it, because that way, take away its light, I'm sure you would kill it.
Well, what? Anybody put comment below? If I take the light away from it, would it die? Would it die completely? Yeah, and then, like you said, I could use it as a rock, couldn't I? Do you know what I mean? To be fair,
you then possibly use it as a rock. You got a piece of plating rock. The only thing is, sometimes when coral dies, it can get a little bit brittle. Depends on what it is.
Yeah,
that's the only downside. So, because once it's dead, if you can't snap, you don't want to do is use it as a plate. You put something on, and all of a sudden it disintegrates over. Over time.
Exactly, mate. I don't want that to happen for sure. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at Chris has put. Chris has just put. No, he's still away. He's in Whitby, but he's put the. So hope you're enjoying Whitby, mate. But he's put down. He said his heater went on Tuesday. His ink bird warned him. Warned me it was cool. He sent his mother around. She chucked in his holdie off you. You know what? You always find something goes wrong when you're away.
Yeah.
Always. It always seems to happen when you're away. It's like the reefing gods just want to test your patience. You know what I mean? It happened. That did exactly the same as mine when I was away one night, mate, and then I had my power tripped. My whole power in my house tripped. It's like, what is the odds of that for that one day when I'm away?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's well, thankfully your mother-in-law. My mother-in-law wouldn't have a clue, mate. If I would have said to her, chuck a heater in mine, she wouldn't have had a clue. So at least you've got a mother-in-law who knows what to do. But Woody's joined the house.
Hey,
Evening, Woody. Hope you're well. John, he put down an expert reefer called Dom was on a stream, and he won't use the titanium heaters as they can leak aluminium. And then Chris has put that's interesting because his aluminium has risen on his ICP test. So very interesting.
There was a case.
That is an interesting one for sure.
A few years ago, I think maybe 5 years or so, could be mistaken. There was an issue with some titanium. I don't know if it was DD or it was another make where they were actually leaking, and there were some people that was taking their heaters out, and you can see there was corroding at the end. I don't know the make, so it might not have been DD. I can't remember what.
Yeah, because they had Shergold was one, wasn't it? Shergold, they had the titanium heaters, didn't they?
Yeah, but I don't know what brand
ones
it wasn't all of them. There was one particular brand, but I haven't seen anything like that for quite a while. Because let's face it, a lot of people have titanium now because people say, you know, the glass ones, they can explode, they can cause problems, which they can. So people went to titanium because they didn't trust the glass ones. Yeah. I like the glass ones because they've got a backup of a thermostat on them. But they're quite big, the more powerful ones. So like in this one, I had to put a titanium because you couldn't get a glass one that was, the temperature was big enough, because the Eheim ones that are quite long, they're like the 200 watt ones. They're right in a bigger tank with a sun, but not a small tank. So I don't know, but I've seen that in the past, but not for a while. There's one after you've done this one, there is a comment further above about white spot when you finish this bit.
Well, what up above, you mean?
Yeah, comment by Rev Devil. Rev Devil
there, sorry, yeah, he's so he thought he had white spot in his tank, so he misdiagnosed for some other disease at first because I was under the impression that white spot killed really fast like velvet. Interesting. You know what? To be honest, I've been very, very fortunate in my reef keeping journey that I've never really had any disease. Remember, we've all got white spot in our tanks. Everyone has got white spots in the tanks. Yeah, it's proven. It's proven. It's proven. We've all got diseases in our reef aquariums. Yeah, so let's not be all under the thing that it suddenly comes, because it doesn't. It's in there. Do you know what I mean? But it's just like how you treat it. As long as you keep your fish healthy and stress-free and stuff like that, a bit like us, if we're stressed out, some people get cold sores, you get the cold, you get run down. That's exactly the same as what white spot really is, to be fair. It's just like when the fish is run down and they lose the slime coat, then they just can't fight that bacteria, and then they just pass it on and pass it on and pass it on. So we've all got that, you know what I mean? But like I said, sometimes there is some other diseases like velvet and stuff like that, that's more prevalent. You usually know. I mean, I seen one of my mates, and he had velvet, and it's totally different to like it that you could see the fish were ill. You know what I mean? Yeah, and it was like totally different. But it is when it's so hard to judge. Plus, white spot, they don't die straight away. Anyway, they seem to be around a while where you can treat them if you can put them in a thing, get some copper in there, or I think you can actually, lower the salinity, hypersalinity, isn't it? Which gets rid of white spot as well. I think. Not sure where you can run them to, but I think I might be wrong, but I'm sure it's like 1.017 or something in it, or something like that.
I'm not too sure. I mean, I had white spot years ago after the big tank, after about 18 months. and I had it on the Vampire Tang and the Regal Tang. But what I did, and this is, you know, people agree or don't agree with this, I had the Polyp Lab, which I dosed.
Right.
I spotted the spots. As soon as I spotted it, I started dosing it. So whether that helped, I don't know. And then I increased the feeding to 3 or 4 times a day, and that definitely helps, because if the fish is feeding, then more chance of fighting it and keeping healthy. The only way of really curing it is to take the fish out, put them in QT, and then it's debatable what kind of fallow period. Some people say 72 days, some say longer, some say shorter. But it worked. It didn't cure it, but the spots went. And touch wood, they never come back in that tank again. So, for whatever reason, they were stressed for whatever reason. And the reason why I didn't take the fish out is because, 1, I've never quarantined before, and 2, I'd have had to have taken 20 fish out of a 5-foot tank.
Okay.
And I had loads of rot work, so I would have destroyed the rot work. I might have stressed the tank out even more by trying to catch the fish. I then would have upset all the corals, because all the detritus and all the crap would have gone into it. And there's no guarantee they would have survived in a quarantine QT. So I took the decision on me that I was going to keep them there and try and treat them the best that I could. And it worked. But I'm, you know, anytime someone mentions I've got white spot, how'd you treat it? And I say what I did, I get loads of people, not loads, I get people saying, well, that's the wrong way, blah, blah, blah. That's rubbish. It never works. Well, it worked for me.
Yeah.
And I wasn't trying to cure it from the tank, because I know you have to remove the fish to cure it. So all I was trying to do is get the fish to survive, the spots to go, and they live to fight another day. And then, you know, I just carried on increasing. I dosed the full amount for 21 days, and they went. Because of course, if you stop Polyp Lab when you don't see the spots, it can come back. Now, I can't prove to this day that the Polyp Lab helped or not. All I know is I dosed it, increased my feeding, and it worked. So if I had it again, I would do that. But I see a lot of people posting things where they've had white spot for days, like 10, 12, 14 days. It's getting really bad. And then they take some action, and then the fish die. Because if you leave it
it's too long.
It's too
that's too long.
Too long, isn't it? So I think
that's too long.
I mean, you've got to do something. So I think what you're saying there, you know, misdiagnosed, but it'd be interesting to see what you're doing. Have you increased the feeding? Are you dosing anything else? Are you going to put them in a QT? What are you going to do?
Yeah. I mean, it's true, like you said, you know, whatever you use or whatever you add into your tank is actually works. But I always swear by, like, vitamin, you know, garlic, the vitamin dips and from the garlic, when they're stressed. To me, I always look at it like this. Like I said before, it's like a cold, and I always think, give them something nice and warmly what they like, or healthy, or stuff like that. Feed it them. And they say, and honest to God, my fish have always had, like, they always get white, you know, little spots on them and stuff like that. Sometimes, especially the clownfish, because they're black, you can see it more prevalent on them. They always seem to have, like, loads of spots when they're stressed, you know, especially when they add new fish into the tank. The following day, they seem to get really worked up and really stressed and stuff. But like you said, I just start to feed more, you know, put them in vitamins, put some, you know, garlic dip and stuff like that, and basically soak the food in that, and they use that, and within a couple of days it's gone, mate. The spots are literally gone. You know what I mean? So it is, and it happened on my yellow tang. When my yellow tang that got spots, and it was just because it was stressed. You feed it well, you know, make sure the conditions are right, and they go back to normal. They just seem to disappear. You know what I mean? It's just like, I think it's just a sign, like I said, of stress, and that they worked up. But
I think
hopefully Red Devil, you'll start it out.
Keeping them feeding is the most important thing, isn't it? So I was trying different types of food, and I was just, of course, then your nitrates, guys. So you got to try and balance out. You're changing your parameters, because I was pumping in 2 or 3 times as much food as I had before. So I don't know. It'd be good to see hear what treatment you're using.
Absolutely. Smoker Kippers, he says, 27 is nowhere near hot enough to kill a live fish. The RD is F. Ink bird every day for me. I have 4 of them, and only ever had 1 pro go wonka in 10 years. Well, you know what? You could absolutely be right, mate. Like I said, it's feeding well, because only what? Not the day before that. It was the day before that. I gave it a big prawn. I used to feed it prawn, raw prawns, stick a prawn in, and it used to, like, gulp on a prawn, mate, like a full prawn straight off. Swim in its little hidey hole, and it was good as gold. You know what I mean? It did its thing. It was eating well. Everything was fine. And then even when it died, like I pulled it out. It must have only been dead for maybe a few hours or so, but because it wasn't rock hard. It wasn't like it hadn't been pets or anything. It was like as if it had literally just died. And couldn't see any ill. There was nothing to it. What hadn't been attacked. I mean, not many fish in my tank anyway, but it's certainly not been attacked. You know what I mean? But I just found it strange that it happened. Like when that temperature went off. A bit skew with, but you know what? I don't think I won't ever know the thing. But it was definitely a chunky fish and fed well. But yeah, it's just one of those things, unfortunately. But yeah, always gutting when something dies. But I think you're right. It could be time for a new D&D. But that's the one. And like I said, the other one is the new one in there that I've got running. So I might switch that over on. In fact, I will switch it over. I'm going to switch that over on Sunday just to be safe. And he's also said, Red Devil has said, sorry, there could have been a stray current messing with a probe. Maybe. Absolutely, mate. It could well be that. Just never know, do you? But it is. Well, then Tekker's Reefer has put, are you meant to change the DN controller every 2 years? Well, that's new to me. I didn't know about that, mate, to be fair. But maybe I should look. Maybe I should look into it. No. And Smoker Kippers has put no. Chromas, no. I love Chromas. Did you ever see my big Chromas, mate? They were absolutely they were fantastic. They were massive. I enjoyed them, to be fair.
When you originally got those Chromis, because in the end you had, was it 3 Chromis?
3 of them, yeah.
Did you start off with a lot more than 3 originally?
5.
So 5 went to 3. Which isn't bad, because a lot of people end up going from 5, 6, 7 down to 1 or 2.
Yeah. No, I had 5 in there, yeah. 2 died. To be fair, one died literally within maybe a week, yeah. And then the other one died, God, it must have been like a year, 2 years into it. So I had them fairly, they didn't like kill each other.
Yeah.
But then what you tend to find is like a hierarchy in Chromus where the bigger ones just bully the life out of the others. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But because they were all similar sort of size, I don't think they could actually figure out who was the hardest one and who was the gaffer. Do you know what I mean? So I think it was like, all right, well, let's just leave it at that, and we'll all get a bit of food. And those 3. They never fought. You see them jostling them maybe every so often, but really they just seem to have got on them 3. Do you know what I mean? But it was because they were very, very similar in size. Do you know what I mean? The other ones were slightly smaller, obviously, but I do like Chromus, to be fair. I really do like it, especially if they all survive and you've got a fair few in there. Like I said, 5, 6, 7.
They swim out in the open quite
schooling fish. They're a schooling fish, you know what I mean? They stay together, you know what I mean? Yeah. So they are nice, and they're not that expensive, to be fair, either, as well. So it is a good addition to having a tank. But Smoker Kippers said, get a strawberry wrasse and a yellow coral wrasse. Don't think you get. I didn't think you could have 2 or 3 wrasses, because I've got a 6 line wrasse in there as well. To be fair, so I don't think you can have many, can you?
So what I've had before. When I had the 5-foot tank, I had 4 peacock wrasse. I had a yellow.
What, your 5-foot tank though?
Yeah. So
that's what I mean. It's got to be a big tank, hasn't it?
Yeah, but you've got a 4-foot tank, and you've got loads of hiding places. So yeah, I've had more.
Yeah.
I've had 2 or 3 types of wrasse in some people have loads of wrasse in their tank. So I think the problem with the 6 line is they can go rogue, and I found out I had I think it was a pink belly wrasse, I think it was. And I put other wrasse in. I put the 4 peacock wrasse, and I think there was 2 a yellow wrasse as well, and another one as well, I can't remember. And it battered them, and they all went into the sand. I had to catch the pink belly and put that in another tank, because the others won't come out. And then they end up dying because they can't come out, they can't feed. So you can't. The problem with wrasse is, if one bullies the others, then they can be quite timid. And secondly, they don't seem to travel very well. So people say that when they get wrasse, they put them in the tank and they go into the sand bed, never to be seen again. It's only happened to me once before with a carpenter's wrasse, that it went in and I never saw it. All the other wrasse I've had, over the years. They've been fine.
Yeah.
So you
I
can
mean, I
mix
do
them
like
up.
the Ras, to be fair.
Yeah, you
I do
can
like
mix them
Ras,
up.
but I've always been under the impression that, you know, if you had one or two, then they could not get on, and then they could one of them will hide, and then the other one hides, and then before you know it, we have it. They both die. Do you know what I mean? Or three
So
die,
it could
whatever.
be
So
the case. If
that's
you've got a bully
yeah,
and that bullies
yeah,
the others, then absolutely they'll go into the sandbed, never to be seen
yeah,
again. So that definitely can happen. But I find if
yeah.
they get through the first couple of weeks and they haven't been bullied and everything else, then I've had them for a long period of time. Because if that silver, so if that 6-line Ras turns, then I think it will be the others two will end up hiding. And then it's a case of how, in your case,
6-line Ras.
you
My
get them out.
6-line Ras in my tank is tiny as anything, mate. He's like a little midget. You know what I mean? I think he's a dwarf one because he never seems to grow up. You see some 6-line Rasses and they're freaking huge, mate. This one is tiny. Absolutely tiny as anything. He comes out only for a little bit of food and stuff when I feed, you know, my food and stuff like that in the tank. Comes out, nicks what he can, and goes into the actual hidey holes where the other fish can't get him. You know what I mean? And he just does his thing. He goes around nipping it, you know, all around where there's probably tiny little bugs and stuff like that, does his thing. And he's been a model citizen in this, and I've had him got good 2 years now. He just never seems to grow. Always seems to stay the same size. But you know what? I might look into that then. Now you've put me on that track of maybe thinking maybe one more Ras then. Shove one more Ras in.
I mean, you could get a group, because I had a group of 4 peacock Ras, and they were fine.
Peacock Ras, yeah.
I mean, they're lovely fish, and they were fine. And then when I closed down the 5 foot, I put a couple into the 3 foot tanks. I thought it was too small for 4 of them, so I sold 2, and then I had 2, and then one died. And I think I've still got 1, and I've had those Ras for at least 4 years. I think I'll have to go back and look in the videos, but that's quite a long time. Not as long as some other fish, but peacock Ras, to me, are my favourite Ras because the colour of them is just awesome.
Nice one. I might look into that. Tom's put mugs there. I'm sure I have a spare motor in the garage off for Gen 2. I'll post it if you still, mate. I really appreciate that. Listen, I'll buy it off you, mate. No problem whatsoever. Really, really appreciate that. Definitely need one for sure because I can't keep winding it on with my hand. That's for sure. But no, Tom, really appreciate that, mate. Dripper with miles behind here, 825. What on here? What the hell's going on here? Are you sure there's nothing else happened? I'm sure, mate. Chris, smash the like button. Smash the like button, guys. Chris, happy to buy some off you, Paul. If you could post, that's about your
that's the history.
Slipping.
Yeah.
Strix, yeah.
So Chris, can you?
Howard's gonna message you.
Yeah, because I can both of you message me on Instagram is probably easiest, and then we'll sort something out. And I've got some other calls I'm trying to get. I've got some Zoas and other stuff as well because one of the tanks over the next 3 months I'm going to close down. So I've just got to gradually get rid of some. That's not the tank that's got the Hystrix in actually, but I've got some other stuff as well. You might be interested.
Yeah.
So message me on my G.
Yeah. Message him. Mickey boy, who's going to Aquafest tomorrow? Fortunately, mate, I was gonna go, but I'm roped into work, so I can't go. Like I said, I'm working till late tomorrow, so I'm gutted that I can't go. But it was good last time, to be fair. Really enjoyed it. So if you do want to go there, get over there because you'll enjoy the day. It's really good. Reef Community Worldwide. Okay, Paul.
Is it 2 days this year? Or am I confused with Finest? Is it 2 days with one on Reef and one on Fresh?
Finest did 2 days, didn't they? They did the Saturday and the Sunday, didn't they?
Confusing it. I mean, let's have a look at that.
Yeah, I'm not sure, mate, to be fair. Paul said he's going away for 17 days next month, go to Indonesia. Paul, you lucky sod, mate. Really wish I was going for sure. I'll be inspecting the heater Chris has put when he pulls it out. Absolutely, mate. I inspected mine, to be fair, and didn't see no corrosion or anything on it. So, yeah, that's why I was swayed towards maybe the you know, like Paul saying now, maybe swaying towards the monitor system side, the D&D controller as opposed to the heater now. But yeah, I find it strange that the other it's working perfectly all right in the other one and not in this tank. So yeah, it was strange for sure. Well, like I said, maybe a strange current might have happened. Who knows, mate? I don't think I'll ever know. But I'm going to definitely take that D&D controller out.
Yeah, so Aquafest is 2 days. I'm just looking on
Oh,
Facebook.
2 days.
It doesn't
Right.
say that there's kind of fresh on one day and reef on the other, which obviously I'm confusing with Finest. But
Right.
it is over 2 days. Yeah, so it looks like it's both across both days by the looks of it. Yeah, so it's 2 days.
Interesting.
Or this time.
Oh, that's good.
Which is pretty good.
Stuart said this at what time was it? 8:31. He said he's off for a beer. He's obviously on his holiday in Spain. So
nice
enjoy your holiday, mate, and yeah, enjoy, mate. Gal. I've not got heaters in my 300-gallon, and the temperature is spot on. Well, that's perfect.
If you can get away with
very lucky
running a heater,
yeah, if you can get away with it,
then you're going to save some serious money, aren't you?
Freaking hell, what? Absolutely. Tony, he said he's just bought a second-hand 200-litre tank for the nitrogen cycle. I'm using Evolution Aqua Pure Reef Balance and the 3-week process, running it on Eheim Pro Free canister filter. Any thoughts? The full set for 250 quid. Interesting. The Eheim Pro Free canister filter. So yeah, I mean, this has been everybody speaks about this, don't they? There's a lot of people for them, and you know, there's a lot of people who don't really go for them. Do you know what I mean with canisters? But I've seen some fantastic tanks run on, you know, canister filters. To be fair,
yeah.
You know, I mean, even to be fair, as much as I can't stand the place, yeah, even that my good friend in Stockport. I'm not going to mention no names. Yeah, but
let's not go down that road again.
yeah. I mean, even if its main display is run on 4 Eheim canister filters, its main display, it's run on 4 of them. Yeah,
I think if you maintain the canister filters, there's no reason why it couldn't work. Because if you've got the canister filter using filtration and you're doing water changes, then why not?
A lot of people. You've got. I think, to be honest, you've got to be on the ball, haven't you? I think you've got to. Your maintenance has got to be religious, because a lot of people were saying it's more like nitrate. It's more like a nitrate factory, you know, stored up in these canister filters. Yeah. If you don't keep, you've got. I think you've got to think for people like myself, who's a lazy reefer, who just wants to be left alone and just enjoy my tank, and let my tank do its business. For me, I don't think it would work for me. But if you're religious about, like, say, doing your maintenance, doing a water change every week, and sponges and everything, then there's no reason why you can't run any tank on a canister filter, SPS, or anything like that. I think you could run anything on it. You know what I mean? It's just entirely down to yourself on how religious you are with husbandry. You know what I mean? And for me, I don't think I think I'd let it go a week. You know, I'm not going to do a water change this week, or I'm not going to clean out, I can't be bothered, or I'm working, or I'm too tired. And for me, I don't think it would work. But I mean, Tony, I think you'll be fine with it, mate. It's 200 litres, so it's not massive. You know what I mean? It's not a massive tank. And and Eheim canister filters are the best, aren't they? German make. You know what I mean? Everybody raves about Eheims, to be fair. So yeah, I think you'll be good. For 250 quid, it's a bargain. You know what I mean? So I think you've got a bargain there, mate.
I think it's good. It's like if people run canister filters on planted tanks and that. Again, if they don't clean them out, their tank's going to suffer, because they're going to have too much nutrients in the tank. And a lot of people have the soil and the plants and all of that takes a lot of the nutrients out, but you're still going to have problems. So I think that's the key on that you clean them out. Not that I've ever used it before, but from what I've read. So I think go for it, Tony. Sounds like a bargain.
Absolutely.
Interesting. I haven't heard of the Evolution Aqua Pure Reef Balance, which I'm assuming is how you're cycling your tank. I haven't heard of that one. There's loads of different ones out there and loads of different ways to cycle a tank, isn't it? But I haven't heard. Have you heard of that one, Steve?
I'm sure is it those little balls? You know, the little balls in the blue tub. The grey and blue tub it is, isn't it? I'm sure it's that. I'm sure I've seen them. I've seen them on the tops in the.
Isn't that the kind of bio balls? I know the ones you
They're like
mean.
little see-through balls. They are. I'm sure they are. I'm sure that's them. Comment below, Tony. And make sure that we're right. I'm sure they're the little balls.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be. I know what you mean. If it's them, then you're using those to cycle. That's I haven't heard of people using those to cycle before. That obviously doesn't mean you can't, but it's an unusual.
No, I've never heard of it.
It's a bit not unusual, a bit different, shall we say?
Yeah, for sure. Paul's put people with no sand bed have a very low chance of white spot. Interesting. Is that because does the white spot supposedly live in the sand? Is that am I getting this right or what?
Less surface area, isn't there? Whether they prefer sand to rock work, I don't know. Maybe they do prefer the sand. So obviously, take the sand away
because
you've got less chance.
Because I do know, like when my clownfish did get it, you know, and they had a fair few. This was a while back now, yeah, a long time ago. Probably maybe talking 2 years or so ago now. Well, they used to swim down, you know, on the sand bed, and they used to rub the body on it. You know, like go down, and then you used to rub because my tank was cloudy, and I'm like, what the hell's going on there? And they used to rub themselves, you know, on the sand because obviously they were itching or whatever it does, and they was swimming and they were rubbing themselves on the sand, which made the sandstorm, you know, in the tank, and that's what it was. But then obviously once they got rid of the spots, then they didn't do it. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Maybe that's the case. Maybe they do live in there. Galgal's put Reef Creator, hi fella. Joe is in the house. Joe. Evening, Joe. Hi guys, hope you're both well. We're a bit late to the show. Absolutely no problems. And she's saying hit the thumbs up. Really appreciate it. MB Reef. Evening, MB Reef. Nice to see you. Are you answering any questions tonight? I think we answered some, aren't we? Is it talking to me?
Yeah, I think we were gassing for quite a while, and you've gone back and answered a few.
Oh, right.
I don't.
Yeah. Well, I'm only actually 7 minutes behind now, so I should be good. We should be good.
That's a fair point.
You ain't got a jump. That is another good point. To be fair, like you said, wrasses do have a tendency to jump, don't they? You know what I mean?
So sometimes you can hear them bouncing off of the jump guards.
Yeah.
So I've definitely experienced that before when you hear them, because they do. When they get spooked or anything like that at all, even just because they'll quite often go around like that. And if they get spooked by another fish or anything, they'll straight up the corner of the tank and out. So yeah, I've definitely heard them hit the top. I've heard tangs as well. I've had that with my reel tank before hitting the jump guard as well.
Yeah. You know what? I never had that problem, to be fair.
You never had a net? Never had a jump guard?
I haven't had it. I had that one that I made up, remember?
Oh, that was on the D&D one, wasn't it?
No, that was on this big one.
Was it?
I had it on the yeah. No, I had it on this big one. And then when I got my lights, remember the cuttings were different on the lights. You know, on these lights, yeah. Because I had the fingers, then I had the Hydra 26s. Well, the brackets on these what freaking I've forgotten the name on these Ecotech ones,
Radians,
the Radians. They were wider, aren't they? So it wouldn't fit on the it wouldn't fit around the cutout that I did.
Well, do you know what I did on mine? I kept the net. I didn't cut the net through, so I took the net the whole way along, and that way, where there was a gap, the net actually covered the gap. There was still a little bit.
I never did that.
I did that because of the wrasse and everything else. And on the Ecotech, the cutter rounds, they're quite big, aren't they? They're probably inch and a half, maybe a bit more.
Yeah.
So you definitely need to do that. But fortunately, all the tanks I've got don't have that problem anymore. It's only when you actually take them away from the weir that you have the cut around. Because where it's on the weir on a smaller tank, you haven't got to worry about it. And obviously on this, it ain't a problem because it's in the back chamber. But
for sure. John Wright, looking forward to the Aqua Show next year. Absolutely.
Do you know what? I mean, I'm looking forward to that, but I've heard very little about that show in the last month or so. And it could be after the summer, they'll come back, they'll say who's, because there's not much information about who's showing now or anything else at this stage. But I mean, I'll definitely be going if it's still on. But that's like next March, isn't it?
Exactly. Exactly. Riggsy here, Riggsy69. He's run his. I run my tank using the Biomaster 850 canister filter. It's so easy to maintain with a pre-filter. I stripped all my nutrients. Wow. So yeah. So you know what? You just get people who are running them, like you said, Riggsy and stuff like that, who maybe have only ever run a tank like that. You just never know, do you? You know what I mean? I mean, I've like I said, I've never run anything, so I couldn't comment whether it's good or whether it's bad. It's just what I've heard. I mean, to be honest, when I first started out in this hobby, before I even bought this tap, before I even bought my 170, I was gonna. I've said it before. I was gonna buy the Aqua. It was what was it called? The Aqua 400. Is it the Aqua 1400 or something? It was a wooden one, and Dan's Reef had it. Dan's Reef had the first. He was the very first guy who I watched. Yeah, Dan's Reef, and he had one. And it was a all wood, and it was I'm sure it was an Aqua 1400 or something like that. But it didn't have a sump in it. It just had canister filters. You could just put canister filters in it, and I was like, and that was the way I was going to go. Originally, I was going to go that way with a canister filter, you know, researching it, and I thought maybe it's not that bad. And then I don't know which channel I started watching, but and then I started seeing the sumps, and I was like, yeah. And then the pros of them saying, yeah, you know, it's more water volume and it's this, that, and the other. However, it means it's going to be more cost because you've got to add this in it and you've got to add that in it. You've got to, and you know, for a beginner, it gets very confusing, doesn't it? You know, in like thinking, well, which way should I go? Should I go canister filter where it's just set it and forget it sort of thing? You just put that in and that's it. It does it all. Or do I go with a sump and get a skimmer in it? Then you need to get filtration cups, or if you're running cups, or you'd have to get a Claricy or whatever you want to go. And it's just more money in it, you know. So to other people,
you just
it's
think
just
more.
confusing.
So with a canister filter, it's simple, isn't it? So actually, simple, in a way, there's more to maintain, but in a way, there's less to maintain because you've got this canister filter, and you just got to change out, wash it out, put it all back, blah 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 blah. So you haven't got all the other stuff.
Exactly. No, that's it, mate. Like you said, I watch videos. You take where your media is, you take the media out and you put it in the water that's in the canister filter. So obviously the bacteria is still there. Do you know what I mean? And then you clean it out, give it a swill, tip it off, and it was you know, relatively simple in that sense. But like you said, for me, I'm just lazy, mate. I just like, but let me sump do. I mean, you look at my sump and there's hardly any detritus in it, but all on the glass is like vermeted snails, is freaking everything, mate, in there. Just like, let it do it. It's its own little ecosystem in there. Let it do its thing. You messed about with it.
Yeah.
There's more pods in that sump, yeah. There's more pods in that sump than you could imagine, mate. They're actually on the filter roller, you know, on the actual filter roller. Yeah, when I wind it round, you can see all the pods in there stuck to it. You know what I mean? And you're like, it's just like its own little ecosystem that's doing its thing. But good luck with it anyway. John's put Steve at Red Sea, which I did see, and John posted. They sold it for 200 quid near him with all that equipment. He's up for sale for 800 quid, mate. Well, we knew that was going to happen anyway, didn't we? That was a bag. I thought the guy had actually missed off a zero. I thought it was meaning $2,000 at first, but yeah, if I'd have had a van, mate, I would have come down and picked that up straight away. I swear to God, I would have come down. But yeah, 200 quid. That's just an absolute bargain, mate. What was this? I forgot the laughs on that comment, Moggs. What was that one?
That was the one where asking any comments. It was an early one.
Oh, right, I see.
I think so, anyway.
I think so. Drippy spot on, Paul. I've heard my RAS nut in the lids loads. Right, well, I think that's just put the end to the getting a RAS in my tank.
I think if you get you've got a RAS already. You've got the 6-line, haven't you? So you've been quite lucky.
6-line RAS has never jumped out, mate. Yeah, never jumped out. Yeah, so he's always there, mate. He's always there.
If he get a carpet surfing, then he's going to be just crystal, you know.
Let's see. Tony Gold. Steve, white balls, approximately 8 in each tub, recommended by Oasis Salford. Using them for years, knowledgeable people. No, it's not Oasis, mate. It wasn't Oasis. It was the one in Stockport. Oh, what's it called now? Oasis. Abyss. Yeah. It was Abyss, mate. Yeah, Abyss is in It stopped. But yeah, I do know Oasis are using them anyway. I've not, yeah, because Eddie used to run them in some of the sumps in there. Not I don't think it's in the main display because they've got a big S, you know, the S. Is it the Red Sea S
What, S
Max?
Max?
The S Max
S
ones. Yeah, I'm sure they've got the S Max there, and then they've got a couple of smaller ones. Like they've got one like your tank, not your new one, Paul. The Jay's one. What's it called?
The Max
The
Nano.
Nano. The Nano.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Max Nano. They've got a couple of them on set. They've got a Red Sea 170, to be fair, which is running some. But yeah, no, I didn't mean Oasis, mate. I love Oasis. I know they were the guys who basically started me off and running in it. And Steve from there, he's really knowledgeable for sure. Great lads there, to be fair. So yeah, no, they are the men. Tom Brooks saying need to sort a large scale frag swap somewhere. Absolutely, mate. I mean, it's hard, isn't it? You know, when they're setting those things up. I mean, you did, yeah. I mean, you know, don't you, Paul? You know, what I mean, you're the man.
Yeah. So
it's hard, that, isn't it?
I mean, the Love to Reef, it's a lot of work to get it going. So what do we have? Over 100 people on the day, and I don't know if they all did, but it was 60 to 65 people who took part in the frag swap. And I knew that because the people that said they were doing it, and then on the day we kind of took the details and stuff like that. So and the tank wasn't big enough, so we ended up going into poly boxes and stuff like that. But yeah, I think there must have been about 60, 65 people that took part in the frag swap, and there was other people giving frags away on the day as well. So I don't know, it depends what you mean by large scale, but I was pretty pleased with the number of people that took part in that, in swapping. And then there was other people selling and other things. So
it was good.
That was really good. I enjoyed it anyway.
Yeah, it was great. And Mickey Boy is saying, "Can I bring our last to swap, Tom?" And then he says, "Oh no, sorry, I thought you meant hag." Hey, I hope she's not watching this, mate. Yeah, I'm not saying anything. My missus is upstairs. Tom's put he's had glass heaters break, titanium heaters rust, and temperature controls fail. Unfortunately, that's part of the hobby. Always believe in having a backup system. Absolutely, mate. And that's why I have 2 heaters in my tank. Yeah, I have the one normal glass heater that's plugged into my Apex, and then obviously I've got the titanium, that's the backup one, and then I have my D&D one, which is the main one with running the titanium heater. For instance, if anything happens, but the glass one very rarely comes on. In fact, I don't think it has come on, to be honest, because obviously the titanium one does its business. But with it rising up so hot, you know what I mean? That's the problem. Hence the reason why I took it out and I put the new one. Now it's at 25.7, 25.8. So it's running spot on now. So like I said, I really don't have a clue what it was, to be fair. It's just one of those things, maybe like a surge or something. But the main thing is, caught it early, got to the bottom of it, swapped it, changed it, did what we need to do, and it's running. It's all up and running. So and no coral deaths, which is the main thing.
I was interested about backup. So I've got the DD control on this. And as you know, we were talking before about the Red Sea ATO. So that has a controller on it. Well, not a controller. It has a heat monitor because it doesn't control it. So it actually came in handy the other day. So I did a water change, but didn't turn the return pump back on. And the heater is in the back, whereas the temperature controller is in the main display. And the temperature started dropping in the main. No, the temperature went up in the back because the heater's running all the time.
See.
And I got a notification saying that the temperature's gone out of sync and it was too high. So actually it was a false because the back chamber was too hot and the main display was okay or the temperature was dropping. So actually getting that, so the controller is actually controlled by the DD, but I got a monitor with the auto top up. So worked really well. And of course that's Wi-Fi. That's on now.
Well, coming on to that, if you've not already checked out, go check out Paul's latest upload on YouTube. I watched it. I'm not going to tell you where I watched it, but I watched it. I watched it all of it, all of the 6.5 minutes of it. But it was very informative, and to be fair, I do really do like that ATO. If I didn't get my tons out. Like I said, I had one on pre-order. If that didn't get that fixed, that was definitely coming to the Moggs' Aquarium for sure. But I mean, thankfully, touch wood, I managed to get it all sorted. Thanks to the guys there, to Gary and stuff like who managed to sort me out with all new stuff. But so I managed to get the tons up and working. But if I got another tank, say for instance, or whatever, I think I would go for that. To be fair, I think it's just like for the price of it, and for the price of the tons there, you get a lot more for your money. I think you know what I mean. The Tunzi has like been around. It's like old technology in it, but it works.
You got three failures on it. You've got too high.
Exactly.
You've got the optic, and then you've got the float switch and everything else. This is very different to that. It's not for everyone. But I've got to say, I've liked it more and more. I mean, I've had it I filmed it, so it's probably had it about 10 weeks now, and I like it the more I use it. I've got to say there is some bits I don't like on it, and that's on the video, but I've nearly sorted those issues out with it. But as an auto top off, I think it's
the one thing with it, like you said, is like what I love about it, to be fair, is like it tells you on how much water is dosing, you know what I mean, through the intervals and stuff, which I think is fantastic, because like you said, through the season, when it goes hot, or calc, when it goes through the season and your evaporation goes up or down or whatever, then you know how much you dose into the calc. So you can always dial it in, can't you? You know what I mean? I think that's a great tool. You know what I mean? Especially like you said, for people who's dosing calc like myself. You know what I mean? With this Tunzi, it's just like you hear it, the motor kick on, which sounds like an aeroplane engine, and it pumps. You don't know how much water into it, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things. It stops when it hits it. But that's what. And like I said before, for the price of it, I think you can't go wrong with it, mate. You know what I mean? Especially if you've got what is it, 170? If you've got the old version like mine.
It's 180. It's 180 without the
180
the bracket, and I don't use the bracket. I've just got it wedged in the back, in between the corner and the nozzle, and you just got to make sure it's straight, which it is, and it's fine. Or it's 20 quid extra for the
the adapter, isn't it?
Yeah, to put it on. I could only get the one that didn't have the bracket on it, so that's why I would have gone for the bracket, but they didn't have
200 quid.
So it was 180 without the bracket and 200 with the bracket, which is a lot of money. It's on par with the Tunzi, but you get what the Tunzi has, plus you get the leak detector, which you never hopefully will ever use. And I tested it. You see it in the video. I tested it, and my God, it makes it bleeps really loud, as you would expect.
Yeah, it does.
Hopefully you never use it. But you compare to an Apex with the leak detector. That's quite expensive, although I think the leak detector comes with a real basic version of the Apex now, doesn't it? I've got
the older style blocks, the older style blocks, not the new ones on the leak detector kit, for my Apex.
I've got those in the other tank. Yeah, they're quite. Whereas this one,
I've got them.
You clip it on to the. Well, I haven't actually. You can screw it into the side of the tank or the back. I've got mine at the back of the tank. So the floor's level, so if it's going to leak, it's going to go off. And all I'm doing is just resting it on the floor. And what it's got is kind of two prongs on the floor. And then if you squirt some water on it, it's about a 15-second delay, and then it'll just go off, and it'll go off until you clear the water up, and then it'll stop.
No, I think it's great, mate. Like I said, it's on par with it's on par with the price of a Tunzi, but you've got the app, which you get, and then you can see how much you dose, like I said before. You got the temperature, and then you've also got the leak. So for the value for money, mate, is for me it's a win-win for that one.
The only thing I couldn't comment is the reliability, because I've only had it for 10 weeks, whereas the Tunzi, I've had the Tunzi in that tank for as long as I've had the tank going, so that's almost 4 years this year, that tank, and I had it before, so the Tunzi's going for 4 years. And also I mentioned the video, if you want a cheap version, there's a cheap ATO that I use, and that costs 99 quid. So there's other cheaper options out there. It depends on what you want, doesn't it?
Yeah Tom did ask about this about the other week. He did ask this. Remember it? Yeah. So I'm glad you've reminded us of it. Tom, we have covered. I've done a video on this. I'll send you a link over because I've got you on Instagram and stuff. But I'll send you a link on making your own food, and I do make my own food. I've made my own food for a long time now. Well, I think it's over a year now. Well over a year that I made my own food. And basically, I basically what I do is, Tom, is I put. Basically, what you'd think you'd put in, I put like squid, I put shrimp, I put prawns in, I put everything, mackerel in it, I've put salmon in it, and what I do is I make my own and I blend it all in a blender or neutral. But I've got its own fish food NutriBullet blender. I mix it with RO water, normal RO water, so it's not tank water, just normal RO. But then I used to put in the. What's the powder? What's that powder now? Which said you phosphate stuff. I forgot. What?
Not Aqua Power. Refloids.
What's it called?
Refloids.
I used to put refloids in it. Now I don't. Now I put the Coral Essentials. I put the Coral Power Food in there now. So I put a few scoops of that into the food as well. Yeah. And then I put some vitamins in. I put the garlic drops as well in there. Yeah, all mixed, blend it all up, yeah. And then I put some sheets of nori in it as well, some seaweed, and I blend it up, mate. Give it a good blend, and then I have little ice cube racks, 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. I'll send you a link over anyway, and I basically just smooth it out into a paste, into these things, put them in the freezer, freeze them up, and now, mate. And you know what? You know exactly what you're putting in your tank, and that's what I love. Is like I know what's going in my tank, like. No offense to these blister packs and stuff because I don't know what you're putting in it, but I mean, do we know where the water's coming from? Do we think, are they going to be using RO water and putting them in? I don't know, mate. I really don't have a clue. So I haven't got proof, but I would like to comment. But I think for me personally, I know exactly what's going in my tank, what fish food I feed. I know it's nutritious for my fish, and my fish absolutely love it, mate. So I put 5 cubes each sitting. So in my tank's probably going in about maybe about 8 or 9 cubes a day is going in my tank now. And the nitrates and phosphates don't go up, mate. They don't rise.
It's low on nitrate and phosphate, isn't it? Because you're not putting anything else in with it. So
you're not putting anything. No
food.
You're just putting them in the food. You know exactly, like I said, you know what you're putting in, so you can monitor it yourself. You know what I mean? And for me, that's just a win-win. For I don't want my phosphates rising up. I don't want my nitrates rising up, and it's since I've been making my own food that it seems to be stable, mate, because I know what I'm putting in it. You know what I mean? So whether it's a coincidence, I don't know. But as long as I've got fish, mate, I'm just going to keep on doing my own food, and it's not that much money, mate. To be fair, to make your own. And I have big blister packs. In fact, I've made a big blister pack in there. I made some more actually because I ran out. And I've got another 2 packs of blister packs in there as well. Basically, that's just normal, the zip tie bags. Make a thicker paste, tip it all in, and then squash it down dead flat as you can. Take the air out of the bag, and then put it in your freezer, light flat. Put it in your freezer, let it freeze over for 20 odd hours, and just break a piece off, mate. And then let it melt in your tank water, and that is all I do, mate. And it's but I'll send you the link over from my channel and you can watch it. You'll see exactly what I mean. But definitely make it because it's well worth it. Let's have a look.
If you want to do the comments, because there was another question from Tom from the last stream. If you want to get up to date on the comments, Steve, and then we'll cover off the question we said we'd bring forward.
Yeah, I will do. Steve, you love a challenge. Ever thought about a copper band? I'm gonna give one a try once my waters have stabilized. To be honest, I do love copper bands, mate, but I've always been put off with how finicky they are. And as you know me, I go into a depression if anything dies in my tank, mate. I just get devastated with it all. So hence the reason why I've never tried one. But I would love to try one, to be fair. You know what I mean? And just see. I mean, I think I would be okay because I do feed healthy. And if it eats sort of meaty foods and stuff like that, then I give it a good chance that it would survive in my tank. You know what I mean? And I love them that they're always out, aren't they? They're out and about, aren't they? They're always like swimming around. So maybe, mate, watch your space. It could be a fish that I'm going to get. John's put he got another one last Sunday, so fingers crossed. Tony, Steve, you've got me wrong. The white balls are the pure reef balance. The chorus RAS jumpers, you need a lid. Ah, right, got you. No, so the white balls are the pure reef balance. No, I've never seen them. Have you, Paul?
No, I was saying I haven't heard of that to cycle tank.
I don't think
before, so I have to look that up because that looks a bit.
Yeah, I will look that out to see. Yeah. Definitely. You kept a couple of ones for Long John Boy. You found them with grief. Let's have a look. Chris, his copper pegged it last week, was doing okay, then decided to stop eating. That's the reason, you see.
That's the thing.
They're finicky, aren't they? They're finicky, and it's just a shame that sometimes they just give up eating, don't they?
I think the survival rate is improved, but it's still seems a bit hit and miss, and even people have them for about a year and they just go. So I must admit, I like the look of them, but I don't think I'd ever get one because I just think I'll end up killing it. So I'd just rather not get it. The fair play to those. I
know. I'd like to try to just see if I could, if it's eaten well. But what I'd do is I'd have it. I'd have to ask the fish wherever they got it from, which I'll probably get it from my local anyway, But I'd say to them, listen, to keep it, for a couple of weeks, to make sure it's feeding and stuff like that, to make sure to monitor it, make sure it's feeding and everything before I went out and bought it. You know what I mean? Because I'd want it to make sure that it's like I said, that it's eating well before I bought it. But Howard's made a good point there, like he said. We run our equipment 24/7, high humidity, saltwater environment. I'm surprised we're not replacing them daily. Absolutely, mate. Valid point for sure. Drippy's put good luck to you, mate. They seem to play up like a second-hand lawnmower, but they are stunning. Well, that's a great analogy, mate. You're probably right there. Reef King's in, evening. Reef King, hope you're well, my friend. Let's see. I'm having a look now. Chris Allen, Lancashire, only got it today as my LFS gave me the wrong fish due to TMC. Send her the wrong one. So got it free today. Nice. Interesting. Carl's put no filter, no nothing, and it's all good. Does seem to be looking good, to be fair, Carl. And he's saying water change is key. I don't know because I've never done one.
It's only filtration you've got. It's only filtration you've got, isn't it, Carl?
Yeah.
So the only way you can control it, and you're not dosing, so that helps, I suppose, take stuff out and put minerals back in. That's a fair point.
So here we go. Chris has had a thing here. Like he said, I never bothered filtering live pods or live mysis until I decided to check the phosphates in the bag. It was off the scale on my Hannah checker. No, now I always filter live pods. Homemade food wins, absolutely, mate, 100%. I do exactly the same when I'm adding not pods, sorry. I don't do the pods, but like if I'm adding live, like the brine shrimp and stuff like that, into your tank, live one. I always drain the water. I've got a little tiny micro filter,
I've got one of those. I do that for the pods as well.
Like a tea. I think mine was a teacup, but making for tea and stuff like that. I'm sure
I've got one off of eBay, and it's just a kind of white cup, and the mesh on it's really thin. And then the problem is, then you drain it through, and then I end up pouring it the other way around, and either swishing it in the tank. I use some raw water, or pour it in, or some tank water just to get them off the net. Because sometimes it's a bit of a struggle to get them off. But I drain the water because I'm never sure what's in the water. So that's a fair point.
And this is not just on these pods or anything like this or the mysis. This could be in like you said, the actual food, the food packaging, the ones that what the mysis food and all that is in, mate. You just never know. So you're best off making your own food, that way you know exactly what's in it, mate. You know what I mean? It's just it's a no-brainer for me. So let's see. Tom, how do we get more people into the hobby? Other than reducing electricity stroke prices, a lot of people are put off thinking it's too hard. we all start somewhere. It's a difficult question, this, to be fair. I mean, like I said, the biggest talking point is exactly what you've hit upon, me, is the electric. You see more and more people shutting down the tanks. And like John said before, seeing them £200. In fact, I've seen a 170 today on Facebook, marketplace. Everything 170. The skimmer, UV sterilizer, no light with it, all the pipe work, a wave maker, 300 quid. And I was like, what in the hell it is? And I was like, what in the hell? Like £300, mate. It's a bargain. Just madness, mate. People are just selling the tanks because, like you said, unfortunately, a lot of the thing is the electricity, mate. A lot of people who I speak to, which I speak to a fair few, in the stores and stuff, in LFS, it's just like, yeah, I've got too big a tank. I need to downgrade. Or I need to, it's just too much, and this, that, and the other. And it is hard. Don't get me wrong, but it's a hard. I think, like I said, the only way is like to reduce electricity major style, mate. You know what I mean? But a lot of companies now are bringing out nano tanks, are they? Like more all-in-one systems.
Max Spectre brought out smaller tank as well, haven't they?
Yeah,
So
Max Spectre brought one out. Yeah. So maybe like start small. Yeah, bring out more people. If it's at a lower budget, £300 range, £350 for a new tank with what you need, you know what I mean, to set up a softy tank or something, say, to get them into it, you know what I mean? And then hopefully they get the bug and then they move bigger, like I did. I did exactly the same. I went from 170 all the way to a 350. Not a massive jump, but it's still, I was hooked on it. I knew I should have got a bigger tank at the beginning, but I didn't know really, truthfully. I wanted to stay in the hobby. I wanted to succeed. But you just don't know whether you're going to succeed, do you? You know what I mean? And I knew like forking out $4 grand on a Red Sea 350 or 450 or 525. It was like, it's a lot of money to just shove out, you know what I mean, to be honest. But it's a tough question, that, to be honest. And
so I think if you put electricity to side, I don't think it's as hard as people make it.
No.
I think somehow people need to understand a bit more about what to do and where do they get their information from, because we all know, just like cycling a tank, you ask 8-10 different people how to cycle a tank. I'm not saying you get 10 different ways, but you'll probably get at least 4 or 5 different ways of how you cycle that tank. I had someone the other day, they was going down the Red Sea Reef, the mature kit, which is like free. I think it's about 21 days to do it. They went on Facebook and saying, it's stuttering a little bit. What do I do? Someone were then saying, well, don't bother with that. Use ATM. Someone else was saying, colony. Someone was saying doing something else. And what they needed to do, it was actually cycling. Okay, ammonia was nearly zero. Nitrite was high, and they had a little bit of nitrate. So you can see it started to go through the cycle. Someone was saying, put some more ammonia in it. And so they had all these different advice, and all of it would have probably done was restart the cycle. So it's kind of, somehow you need to do your research, cut through the crap. And whatever you do, don't ask anyone on Facebook, because you'll get multiple different answers that will confuse you. I don't know what the solution is to that, by the way. But I don't think it's as hard as people say if you do some research and if you get some mentors. Because if you're new to the hobby, how do you get a good mentor, people you can speak to that you can rely on? Because actually having 5 different pieces of advice, you can't follow all 5. And if you do, you just mess the whole thing up. So I think there's there's always been a high turnover in the hobby. And as you say, even if I go back before electricity prices, you see people set up big tanks, all the kit, and sell before they even got them wet or in it for 6 months. It just so that there's a lot of established people that have been closing down now as well. So I think I don't know, Tom, I think misinformation gets people out of the hobby really quick, because they end up with a tank, 4 months, it's full of algae. They're expecting it to look like tanks on Instagram that are 2 years old, and it ain't going to happen, is it? And even those tanks on Instagram, quite often you put white light on them, they look nothing like they do under blue. they look chalk and cheese. So I
See,
think
you know what?
it's how you help people.
Another thing, Paul, with this hobby, yeah, is people are in a rush.
Yeah, that's
Beginners
true.
are in a rush with it, yeah. They think it's like a sprint, and it's not. You know what I mean? The biggest thing I always say to people, yeah, in this hobby, yeah, is have you got patience? And they say, what do you mean by patience? I just say, well, have you got any patience? And when the moment they say no, yeah, I say, well, don't even get in it, because you know what you want. You'd want. You know why? Because you want it to be there, and then you want it to be get it set up. Like I said, this, you know, what's it called, tanks and all that in it. You know, and these things you see them all these fish and coral. It's not like that. Reality is not like that, mate. You know what I mean? If you want a successful reef, yeah, take your time. Take your patient, be patient with it, yeah, and it'll come good in the end. Do you know what I mean? And that's coming from a person who's never had a tank in my life. I never had a tank. I had a goldfish that I won on on a fun fair when I was a kid, mate. Yeah, that was the only fish I ever had, and that is the gospel truth, mate. I've never had anything like this. It was just I did my due diligence. I studied for 18 months before I even bought one about the nitrogen cycle and stuff like that, yeah, made sure that I knew before I was getting into it that I was good, that, you know, that I had a bit of knowledge or a little bit of knowledge. And then I listened to people, but I listened to only a couple, you know, of people who had good tanks and they're knowledgeable. And I looked at them and I was like, and they went, oh yeah, there's the tank. And I see it and I was like, wow, yeah, these guys know what they're talking about. And I just listened to a couple of people, yeah, and then I made my own path. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm a newbie. You're, you know, like yourself, you've been in it 10 years, 11 years. I've only been in it 5 years. You know what I mean? Not long. And I've only had two tanks, mate. You know what I mean? So, you know, for me, it's like I'm a relatively newbie to it. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that.
But, I mean, every tank is different. So, yeah, I've been in it nearly 10 years, which you can argue if that's experience or not. This tank, I've had more issues with this tank than I've had with any of the other tanks that I've had. And I've probably set up 9 other tanks in total in that time. This one has caused so many problems, and I would say it's my own doing as well.
Yeah.
In terms of I didn't use live sand, I didn't put enough bacteria in it. I haven't taken good enough care of it. And good enough care is making sure you got pods in it. In those early stages, make sure you get the right bacteria. When I had bubble algae start, I should have got rid of it. When I saw the algae, and it wasn't just, you know, you get algae in every tank and then it goes. It didn't. I should have sorted it out. So it's my own fault on that. I thought it would just clear up. And it's because I didn't set it up properly. Even though I cycled it over 10 weeks and I did put some bacteria, I didn't do enough for what this particular tank needed. Whereas the 2 tanks in the garage, much easier. Much easier. Now they're bigger tanks, but I've done exactly the same on this, other than one thing, which was live sand. I used the same kind of rock, same kind of cycling process, blah, 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 pods and all that. Live sand was a difference. Now, it might be a red herring, but
like I said, every tank's different, though, isn't it, Paul? You know what I mean? You could have 10 tanks, set them up identical, but you guarantee that they'll all run totally different. One might grow up cyano, one might get algae, one might just like take forever to cycle. No matter what you do, you'll always find that your tanks will all be different. You know what I mean, mate? All of them. But it's just like how you deal with it. Some people panic, some people rush, some people go, oh God, I'll change this, I'll change that.
Sometimes doing nothing is the right thing.
Exactly. Just don't do anything and let nature take its course. Let it see, let it develop. You know what I mean? And then if you do let it develop and it gets worse, then you step in. But you know, too many people make the mistake of changing things in the tank. And that's why, like I've always said, mate, I don't billy bullshit. I just say it as it is, And all I do is I just basically leave. I keep my hand out my tanking unless I absolutely need to get it in there. You know what I mean? I just don't put it in. I just leave my tank to run itself. And that is it. Let it do its thing, and it just does its thing, mate. I mean, granted, it's what 4.5 years old now, 5 years old, getting on to 5 years, I think. So it's
easier, don't they, in terms of maturity?
Of course, mate. Oh, they do, mate. They develop their own ecosystem.
So if you think about it, I've got 2 tanks in the garage, right? The 170's got a massive gold torch in it, really nice. I've fragged one head off of it. This is going back 4 months now. I let it settle in that tank. It looked fine. I put it in the tank next to it. It went brown. 3 months later, it now looks the same. It looked the same as the other. because it was different tank, same salt, don't get me wrong, same RO, different lights, different parameters, different flow. It went brown, and I'm thinking, I've just made a gold torch go brown, and I just left it. So it's not dead, and it just gradually coloured up. So you see people say, I've got a coil home from the LFS, and it's changed colour. You can guarantee very much if it's an SPS, it will change colour in some shape or form,
change,
and then it will get its own kind of colour unique to your tank. I don't think you can take a coral, or sorry, an SPS from an LFS and expect it to be the same as it's in the LFS. And it might happen, but I think it's really unusual for that to happen. This was like a torch, and I'm thinking I've totally copied
exactly.
And I hadn't. It was just the parameters of the tank, and there's about a foot and a half between the two tanks, and they share a lot of the stuff exactly the same. So
exactly, mate. And like Carl said there, really, it's all about keeping water, and it's true that. To be fair, mate, you keep your water quality right, you keep it, keep it good, and it's true. There's no true word said. To be fair, keep your water right, keep your water stable, and everything else will fly. You know what I mean?
And that's what I was thinking about the floating aquascape. It's been the best it's ever been, but it's not one thing. Yeah, Ultra Reef, love that. Using the Coral Essentials, the CE, love that. The flow in it's pretty good. The tank's established at 2.5 years, and all of a sudden it's now looking into place. And I look at it thinking it's the best color it's ever had. I've actually got it where I've wanted it to be. Now the nitrates are still 40, and I can't remember what the phosphate is. They can probably come down a little bit. Got a little bit of green algae because of that, so I could probably deal with bringing it down. But in terms of coloration and growth of the corals, I mean, I'm not saying it couldn't be any better, but I think it's in the sweet spot at the moment because it's got really nice color and the stuff's growing. And I think if corals are doing that, then you can't ask for much more, can you?
No. Tom's made a valid point here, but Tom, don't you think if this is the case, then it looks as if like you're taking custom off the LFS, because he's saying more LFS stores should encourage second-hand equipment to entice people into the hobby. And it's a valid point, you know. Well, people can't say there's not enough second-hand equipment going around at this moment in time, because it is. Tons. You know what I mean? There's absolutely tons of stuff, going around. But I always look at it like an LFS store, if they're selling dry goods, they're selling pumps, they're selling, skimmers, etc., then it's taking it away from them, innit? You know what I mean? So that's the reason why I don't think they would encourage it, so I suppose, of why don't you buy a second-hand one? But like tank-wise, I think you should. I think they should encourage like tanks, like, why don't you buy yourself a second-hand tank? We stock blah blah blah. You can get your fish, you can get your rock from us. We get do this, or we'll set up like a, some sort of, how could I put it, like a way to go sort of thing, for your tank. Buy a second-hand tank. We'll provide the gear if you can't get the gear, and then lead you on from there and encourage you that way. But I think if it was like to basically say, oh, you get, why don't you get all your stuff from it? I don't know whether they would do that, to be honest. Personally, would you think, Paul, or what? Because it's just taking it away from them, innit? Their job is to make money, innit? You know what I mean? To be honest,
one, they may see it's taking business away from them, right?
Business away from them,
I think there is a risk of getting second-hand stuff if you don't know what you're looking for, because that second-hand, you could buy it, you could get it home, you could use it, and it could be busted. And what do you do? Where'd you go? So you just lost the money on it. I was speaking to someone the other day. If I buy second-hand kit, I prefer to buy it and they send it through the post. And I tell you the reason why. If you pay by PayPal, it comes through the post. If it breaks within a certain period of time, you can return it. Now, that person will hate you and never speak to you again. Doesn't matter. But if they come through and it breaks within a certain, you then can go back and say, sorry, it's busted. You've sold me dodgy goods. You then go to PayPal and you can get a refund on it. If you go to someone's house, because you think you're sending something through the post, it breaks. Especially if it's eBay, whilst people hate eBay's brilliant for buying something. So I bought a light once. It came through and it was crap. It was absolutely rubbish, not as described. It was secondhand and it didn't work properly. And I returned it. If I'd gone to that house and paid cash, even if they'd tried it out, and sometimes you say, switch that light on, they switch the light on and it works. And you wouldn't have known on first look it was crap. And then what happened was I then go and spend 200 quid or whatever was on the light. I get it home. I find it's crap. I can't go back to the person. I could, but they're probably going to go on your bike. But if you go for eBay or you buy it by post and you don't pay friends and family, you can get a refund on it. So that's the risk of secondhand. You get it 50% cheaper, but then it could die next day or could die within a few weeks. But if you bought brand new, you're entitled to new goods or your money back, aren't you? So that's the downside of secondhand. But I've bought loads. This is the second tank I've bought new. Other than my first, so I've bought lots of tanks. So the 450 I had here was secondhand. So I've bought tons of secondhand stuff, and I love it. But you need to be careful about what you buy and who you buy it from.
Yeah,
that would be my view.
Drip. Totally agree, mate. Dripper, my electric is £90 a month for my tank, and I'm over the moon to have something I love for that when it's running 24/7. Absolutely, mate. You know what I mean? I've always said it. I mean, the only time I would ever get rid of my tank, and I say this, not get rid of it, but like upgrade or things like that, is I'd have to decorate my house. You know what I mean? So for me, it'd be like it couldn't be a transition over like say a day or two. You know what I mean? I'd have to shut this tank down and then I have to start again. Well, then I'd probably go for maybe a different approach rather than a mixed reef. Would I go all SPS maybe, and then maybe a scully, a couple of scullies on the floor or something like that. Maybe like that. Maybe might be an approach that I do all the time. Do you know what I mean? Because I know eventually this tank's 5 years old now, so it's not. I'm not going to say it's coming to the end of its life, sort of thing, in terms of durability, but it's getting there. Do you know what I mean? I really don't want it to be like 7 years old and then running the risk of something happening. The seals going. So you know what? Maybe over the next year or so, maybe I might have to think about something like this. But like I said, at this moment in time, it's just like you said, it's the cost. I could get a second-hand one, but what's the point of me getting a second-hand one? Because the same thing could happen to that. Do you know what I mean? We get a bigger second-hand one, and then it could pop. Do you know what I mean? You just never know, do you? So
yeah,
I think I'd get a new one, but I'd probably go, like I said, with maybe someone like MBM or something, to be fair, because I've seen these tanks and they just look fantastic and really good quality. And I think I'd go for that because I could have my input in the design of it as well. What I'd want and stuff like that. So I think I'd probably do that way, to be fair, but that will probably be in the next year or so, I reckon. I'd have to really seriously think about looking into it. But we'll see. Maybe Red Sea might come in like they did with you, Paul, and sponsor me or something. You just don't know it.
If only. If only.
You know what I mean? Yeah, hit me up, Red Sea. Yeah, we'll sponsor me.
The thing is, though, the tanks they have sponsored before, I think one of the things they insist on is that everything you do must be Red Sea. So you've got to use their calc, their ALK. You've got to use their color program.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure if they make you use no-pox, but especially if they've got all the kit. Now, actually, that might not be a bad thing, but would you want to use all their supplements? Now, of course, if they're funding it,
no,
then you probably. I mean, I've done my 450. Everything was Red Sea, so I had the foundation, I had the color, no-pox, and all of that. So I was really happy with using that. And to be fair, if they've given you everything, that's quite. If they gave you
what, mate?
Would you
know what? You know what? Then this is the thing I've always said. Yeah, this is the thing I've said is I could not change. You know what? I don't know what I'm thinking, but like since I have been on that Coral Essential stuff, I've seen a massive improvement. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah, my improvement of my tank of the coral, the way they look, the colours of it. Yeah, the health of them, the polyps, especially in the SPS. They're massive, mate. That Pikachu has just gone through the roof of yellowness now. It's just like seems to have took it to.
That's a hard colour to keep.
Oh, mate. And it's come back from the living dead. It went dead dull, didn't it? And I think that was because of the temperature spike that we had. Remember, but now, mate, honest to God, I've done a video, late stuff video on it. Yeah, like I'll be uploading it probably next weekend. But it's just absolutely through the roof, mate. The colour of it is so bright now. It's just like you can see it when I'm filming it. I've not put no edit into it or anything. It's just an orange filter on my cap and on my phone, and that's it, mate. It's just fantastic. And the lights, mate. I love my radio lights. You know what I mean? I just think they're fantastic. I love the colour of them. I don't know. So for me, yeah, I wouldn't. I probably wouldn't accept it because I just wouldn't want it to go all for all one from one company. Do you know what I mean?
No, I know what you
I
mean.
think I don't know. I don't know, mate. I don't think I would. To be fair, I think I'd have to stick to my loyalties and stuff. Like you said, my Versa pumps, mate. They're just like so accurate. You don't even have to calibrate them things. You stick them on, and that's it. They're already calibrated. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't think I would. I think I'd probably stick to what I know and stick to know what I'm running at.
Mix and match.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. I think, and I think the only thing really is which I'm in two minds at. To be fair, is I've ran DC pumps, you know, the J-Bow, J-Cod, whatever you want to call them, pumps. Yeah, I've never had an issue with them things, mate. Well, I've only ever had one, and that finally died after 4 years. I've added a new the J-Bow DC on this one, the 4000 again, another 4001. I added that on, and it's running silent. They run silent, them things, mate. They just run absolutely silent. Now, the only thing I was thinking was do I go and get like an Ecotech, you know, like say the M2 or something, yeah? So run it as an ecosystem, because then basically I've got everything, haven't I? I've got the wave makers, I've got the lights, I've got all the pumps, yeah? And then all I really need is the return pump. And now I've got it on that MXM module, which can control everything via the what's it called, the Apex, yeah? You can do whatever you want. Then you can control everything all in one like ecosystem. So, but it's like £300 pound, £350 in it, or whatever it is for an M2. So it's pretty expensive.
I admit,
you know what I mean?
I like them. So I've got the S2 on one tank.
Yeah.
And I've got an M2 just sitting there idle because obviously I haven't got a big tank anymore. And I've got to say, I like the Vectras and the backup from Exodus. When I had a problem with one of them, they sorted it out, no problem, because it was a power surge and it busted it. And so that wasn't down to the piece of kit. That was me, because I didn't realize it wasn't on the plug sockets that had the power surge thing on it. So
exactly.
I mean, I think
it will go
really nice. But the fact it's not on the Apex, I mean, I never ever. The only time I touch the Vectra is when I turn it off when I'm doing a water change. I never touch it. I don't put feed mode on. I just squirt the food in and let the power heads and everything else just go around. The only time I turn things off was when I had mandarins and stuff like that, and I was spot feeding them, and I didn't want any flow in the tank, because otherwise, if the food's moving too quick, the mandarins seem to lose out. But now I haven't got any mandarins. I don't turn anything down, the power heads or anything like that. So
John's put. He thinks people get put off when they see the prices of lights. Yeah, I mean, it is expensive, mate. Don't get me wrong. I mean, lighting is one of the biggest things that you need, really, for your coddles, especially if you're having coddles. You know what I mean? It is the biggest thing, I think, in my opinion. You know, you need a good lighting. You know, to be honest.
That, Steve, you can. So I'm still running a Gen 3 on, which is now going to be 8 years old. In fact, it's 8 years old. And it works fine. That's on the floating aquascape. And it's 8 years.
But it's still good lighting. It's still good light, though. It's still a good light, though, isn't it?
You can buy them second hand for 100 quid. And I've got Gen 4s that I've had only for about 4 years, to be fair. But the fact that a Gen 3 is still working today as well as it did then, and I must admit, I haven't got any Aquapora, but I'm sure it'll be Aquapora. But in terms of the Hystrix and Montes and torches and all that kind of stuff, the things are growing. So you can spend 100 quid on a, in fact, it's an XR15, so it would be less than 100 quid, because you can pick up a Gen 3 XR30 for 100 quid. Because I sold one for 100 quid a while ago.
I totally get it, mate. Totally get what you're saying. You know, like, it goes on what you want to grow, doesn't it? If you want to just have an LPS, if you want to just have like a softy tank, you don't need the be all and end all of like the top of the range lighting for that. You can
get a second hand Gen 4 or Gen 3.
Exactly.
It won't be as good as yours. You won't get the you won't get the spread, and it won't be as good or anything like that. But will it grow it?
Yeah, but Gen 4s are probably just the same as these Gen 6s. It's just the difference is the spread. Spread is not as good. No, it's not. Spread is not as good. But it doesn't. It's not to say that it won't grow SPS. It will grow SPS. You know what I mean? For sure.
Gen 3s
Of course, it'll definitely grow SPS. But like you said, it depends on your budget, doesn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you haven't got much, or you just want to grow like LPS softies, whatever, yeah, then you could go for anything. £100, and like Paul said, second-hand gear now you can pick them up to a penny now. Second-hand gear, because
I
everybody's
think
getting
you've got
rid
to know what you're
of the
looking
stuff.
like. So someone who's new to the hobby,
Yeah.
they won't know the difference
Yeah.
between a Radian Gen 3 and a Radian G6. They wouldn't have a clue, and why would they? So that if they get the right kind of guidance, I'd say go and get yourself a Gen 3 or a Gen 4. The tank will look really, really good, and whatever coral you put in there, it will grow those corals.
Yeah. Tom's put, you guys are refreshing. You don't try to pretend you know everything. To know everything like other YouTubers. Nobody knows more than Mother Nature. When people share good practice, stroke experience, it happens.
Yeah,
Tom, really appreciate it. Absolutely, mate. That's exactly what we're out. Listen, we're just normal, average Joes, mate. Like I said, we don't pretend to know everything. If we don't know the answer, especially me, I just say it as it is. I don't have a clue, mate. I'm not gonna Billy bullshit you and say I do when in reality I don't, and give wrong information. I just wouldn't do that anyway. You know what I mean? I've never been like that, mate. I try to help people. I've always tried to help people, just like Paul and Jay and Ross and stuff. Yeah, we just try and use our knowledge to pass it on. And if we can help people, then we will do. The amount of people that have hit me up on Instagram, mate, 50, 60, 70 people message me, what do you think about this? And I always have time for them, text them back and say, look, blah, 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 do this, do that. It's worked for me. I'm not saying it's going to work for everybody, but it's worked. It's just, I share my experience, do you know what I mean, of what, that's why I have my YouTube channel, mate. You know what I mean? It's like a diary, but it's also like, it's also like sharing things, what's worked for me, the good and the bad, because it's not all sunshine and roses, is it? You know what I mean? In this hobby, for sure, mate. So really appreciate that, Tom. Steve Paul, how do you prepare old rock from the shed previously used in salt water to make it reef safe, and how long will it take? You know what? This just goes back onto that question. I don't have a clue, so I'll pass it on to Paul because I know he's done this. So
my last 3 tanks, I've used old rock. So I use bleach first of all. So I think it's 8 parts water to 1 part bleach. I use RO, and it's non-perfume bleach I use from Tesco's or whatever. I put it in a tub out in the garden down here, leave it there for 7 days, and that will get everything. If you've got loads of crap on it, either beforehand I'll pick all the stuff off, or let it bleach, and then I'll do it afterwards. If you want to dry it out, because it will smell of bleach until it dries. Once it's dry, all the bleach evaporates.
Yeah.
So I tend to put it in a I've got a greenhouse, so I kind of put it in the greenhouse, just let it dry. I've done it in the winter, not in the summer, by the way. So I wouldn't probably put it in a greenhouse in the summer with all that bleach around. It has to be dry. Then when it's dry, it's fine. If I've then got some crud on it still, then I pick the crud off. But I usually pick the crud off before I bleach it. And then it's up to you whether you start curing it before you put it in a tank. So occasionally I'll cure the rock in advance, and other times I don't. So in this tank and in the floating aquascape, which I've got a video on YouTube, that's all made from pieces of rock that I bleached. And I've still got 2 big tubs in the garden with a lid on of old rock, and I'll probably be using that again. And I also, when I start the tank up, I always put small pieces. So in the back of this, I've got pieces of rock rubble that's been in other tanks for at least 2 to 3 years. So you put some life into that. But that's how I've done it on rock. And so the last 3 tanks, I've done that. And this is the only one I've had a problem. I don't think that's down to the rock, because it's the same rock as the other 2. But you just got to make sure that you're just careful. Do it out in the garden. And as I say, I usually leave it for a week.
Yeah.
So, and there's BRS TV. If you look on BRS TV, they've got a really good video on how to do it as well. It's about 5 or 6 years old, I think, the video, but they've got a really good video on how to do it as well.
Yeah.
So that's how I've done it, as I say, 3 times.
Hold back, played that up, Tony. Like I said, I've never done it, so I wouldn't comment.
Yeah,
Rick said he used KFC. Oh, yeah. I think the majority of people use that. To be fair, that's what I used in my tank, and the majority of people do use the life sand, don't they? You know what I mean? Tom's put upgrades and swaps, etc. Absolutely. Mickey Boy, thanks Steve for the advice. Don't know where he's taking the pee out of me there, but I don't have a clue. Tom, the majority of people telling someone outside of the hobby about marine will say it's expensive, so keep the traffic in the LFS. They take a cut, and how many of us bought secondhand? To be honest, I haven't. I mean, I've never bought secondhand. I've never bought secondhand.
My whole setup on this tank, the previous one, the big tank. I live in Essex. I went up to Derby and brought a 450 litre tank back from Derby with 200 litres of water, loads of fish, all of the kit, and I took a punt on it, and I got the whole setup for probably about 40% of the retail price, and that was the tank that I closed down last year after having it up for nearly 7 years, that tank. So I took a punt, and it worked out really well. And the tank was only about 3 months old. That's why I was good taking a punt on it, because it was 3 months old. So that whole thing, everything was secondhand, and that was the apex, the lights, the vortex, the whole 9 yards. So I was really lucky on that. So I'd recommend secondhand.
But you know what? Not to say that there's never anything wrong with secondhand, because, like I said, I've never bought any. But would I not buy secondhand? Of course, I'd definitely buy secondhand, mate, for sure. 100%. See, like a lot of the tanks now that I see, people are like 3 months old, 6 months old, 9 month old, no more than 12 month old. People are selling the tanks, and that's a problem. I'm thinking in my head is like, is it that they don't? Is it because they found it too difficult? Is it because of the electricity? Is it because they just like it was a one-off thing of, you know, like an instant buy, like oh, I'm gonna get this and that's it, and then they found out that they don't want to bother doing it. I always wonder why they're selling tanks, like after 3 months or 4 months or 6 months. I really just find that strange. Do you know what I mean? But you know what? But I feel sorry for them, because then you're never going to get your money back ever.
You'd be lucky to get 50%. If you're trying to sell a wholesale, you'd be lucky to get in today's market. You've got some people that are selling things that are brand new, not been opened, and they'll be lucky to get 60% on that, because also if you've got brand new kit, you've got no guarantee with it. So, to pay 80%, you might as well pay the 20% and have the 1-2 year guarantee. Why would you spend something that's like 300-400 quid and you only get 15-20% off? I wouldn't do that. Secondhand for me, it has to be at least 50%, maybe 55% of retail prices. It's not worth it. That sounds quite harsh, but otherwise you might as well go buy new. Yeah, but
to be honest, you see a lot of them anyway, mate, don't you? To be fair, absolutely. You know what I mean?
I've got a Nero 3 in there. It's 50 quid.
Yeah.
Nero 3.
Wow.
150.
Wow.
And I took a punt.
Wow. I never find bargains.
It's been fine.
I never find bargains like that, mate. Ever. Never.
Ultimate Reef.
Never.
Ultimate Reef has some really good bargains on it. I was just lucky and I got in there first.
Exactly. Why can't someone just supply an all-in-one tank for beginners? I mean, everything from fish, rock, sand, and then market it right. Good question. Good question, to be fair. I mean, like I said, I've just been looking down. TMC do their new wave tanks, don't they? They're an all-in-one system, aren't they? You know what I mean? And I think they do supply it with sand, don't they? And you can get the rock. I'm sure they do the rock. I'm sure you. I think you can. Yeah, and you can get the like the structure rock, and then you can get the sand. I think they do market it at that. But as for the fish, like I said, because with fish it's difficult, isn't it? Because you want to pick your own fish, don't you? The majority of people who are going for marine tank, first thing they want is the clownfish in it. They want a Nino, don't they? That's what they all say. You know what I mean? We want a clownfish this. That's the first thing they associate with a marine tank is a clownfish. You know what I mean? But it's like, is that taking it away from him if you're getting told what fish you're having? You know what I mean? So I think for rock and sand and the tank, 100%. But then I think like you should have like a thingy for the fish of your own choice. You know what I mean?
Like AAC, so I know the people I know local
Yeah.
have started going there. They'll buy the tank from there, and then they'll buy the fish and other stuff, and they'll guide them through. Once the tank cycled, take the water in, they'll test the water and say, right, you're okay for your first couple of fish. Guide them around on the size of the tank, what kind of fish you got, blah, blah, blah. So they will help do that in terms of from the tank right through to the fish and the coral. I know, you know, there's a couple of people in the chat here that I know have done. I mean, Drippy uses AAC all the time, and that's the only place I buy the fish from. On that, so it's kind of one place.
But like I said, there is two places that really that I'd probably really go to. Well, the majority of places anyway. Is only two that I'd really get my fish from. You know what I mean? So as for the rest of them, I'd get my dry gear from there and stuff like that. But the majority of fish wise and clean up crew, it's only two places that I go for that. But quickly before we end in here, Mickey Boy said it's because the LFS don't give proper advice and sell them stuff they don't need. That is 100%. That is a long story, but I think I've said it many occasions. But yeah, you're absolutely right with that. Reef King, just stick with 2 or 3 reefers who have been in the hobby for years. Absolutely, 100%. Cottage Reef, he got a free. I've got a £360 UV that I paid £60 for second hand. Absolutely. Tom Brook, Mickey Boy. And then, come on, juicy questions. And that was the final one because we have hit the magical 2-hour mark and it is exactly 10 o'clock. So once again, guys, you know what? It's absolutely flown by that, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's gone really quick. But yeah, once again, guys, really appreciate you all joining us on this Friday. If you've not already, click the like and the thumbs up before we switch off. And yeah, really appreciate it. But once again, guys, we'll be back next week. I'm sure you're back next week, Paul. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're back. I don't know whether it's just me and Paul next week. We'll figure some out. We'll post it on our Instagram. So head over to the Instagram and check them out, and we'll let you know what's going on. So maybe we could do something. I don't know. Maybe an open mic or we'll see.
Hopefully we've got a guest next week. So I've got someone lined up.
We are. Oh, right. Oh, we've got a guest as well. So
I'll let you know.
That's even better. Yeah. Let us know, yeah. All right, mate. So once again, guys, really appreciate it. Enjoy your weekend, guys. And I'll see you soon. Take